The world is witnessing the greatest technological war in modern history. This is a new style Cold War that no longer involves military forces and weapons, but revolves around technological innovation and economic supremacy. The United States, a superpower that has long dominated global technology, is facing its biggest challenge from China. China, once regarded merely as the world's factory and a copier of Western technology, has now far surpassed those assumptions. The country is no longer just a producer of cheap, low-quality goods, but has become a pioneer in various future technological fields. China's innovations in 5G telecommunications, artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, and semiconductors have reshaped the global competition landscape. Companies such as Huawei, Tencent, Alibaba, BYD, SMIC, and many others have proven that China is not only capable of catching up with the United States, but has even surpassed American technology giants in some sectors. Naturally, this has alarmed Washington. The U.S., which has long enjoyed unparalleled dominance in the technology sector, is beginning to see that its supremacy may shift. If China manages to control semiconductor chips, 5G networks, artificial intelligence, and electric vehicles, then America's dominance in global technology could come to an end. Consequently, the United States has not remained idle. It has launched various policies to curb China's rise, including sanctions against Huawei, restrictions on advanced chip exports, and increasing tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. Ultimately, this will lead to an intense battle between the two nations. Looking back at the 1990s, China was primarily known as the world's factory, only capable of producing cheap, low-quality goods. Chinese products were often considered inferior, lacking innovation, and mere replicas of technologies developed earlier in the US and Europe. However, that perception is now outdated. China has made a giant leap that has shocked the world. It has successfully transformed from a mere low-cost manufacturing hub into a leader in global technological innovation. One of the key factors driving China's progress is its massive investment in research and development R&D. The Chinese government realized that to compete with the United States, it could not rely solely on cheap labor or large production capacity. Instead, it had to invest in science, technology, and innovation. As a result, China allocates hundreds of billions of dollars annually to research and development, making it one of the highest R&D investors globally. In 2023 alone, China spent over $440 billion on research and innovation, second only to the US. Additionally, the Made in China 2025 national strategy, launched in 2015, has been a turning point in this transformation. This program aims to reduce China's dependence on foreign technology and position the country as a leader in various strategic industries, such as artificial intelligence, semiconductors, electric vehicles, and telecommunications. To achieve this, the Chinese government provides substantial subsidies to local companies, ensuring they can compete globally. The results are now evident. In the telecommunications sector, Huawei has emerged as a global leader in 5G technology, surpassing competitors from the US and Europe. While many Western countries are still struggling to build 5G infrastructure, China is already a step ahead in developing 6G technology. In the electric vehicle industry, companies like BYD and NIO have not only rivaled Tesla, but even surpassed Tesla's sales figures in certain periods. In e-commerce and digital finance, Alibaba and Tencent have built a digital ecosystem far superior to payment systems in the US or Europe. However, China's success has not come without obstacles. Washington quickly realized that it was losing its technological dominance. As a result, the US has begun taking aggressive measures to curb China's rise, using protectionist policies, economic sanctions, and political pressure on its allies. One of the first steps taken by the US was imposing sanctions on Huawei. In 2019, the US government placed Huawei on the Entity List, a blacklist prohibiting American companies from doing business with it. Consequently, Huawei lost access to crucial technologies such as Qualcomm's chips and Google's Android operating system. This move aimed to cripple Huawei's business and halt its global expansion in 5G networks. Nevertheless, Huawei fought back by developing its own chips and an alternative operating system, HarmonyOS, which is now a serious competitor to Android. Apart from Huawei, the U.S. also started restricting the export of advanced semiconductor chips to China. Washington understands that semiconductor chips are the brains of all modern technology, from smartphones and artificial intelligence to military defense systems. If China succeeds in developing its own advanced chips, the U.S. will lose its technological edge. For decades, the U.S. has dominated the global semiconductor industry, with giants like Intel, Nvidia, AMD, and Qualcomm forming the backbone of the world's tech ecosystem. However, behind this dominance lies an even more influential player, Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company, TSMC. Based in Taiwan, TSMC is the world's largest chip manufacturer, controlling over 50% of the global chip production market and nearly 90% of the most advanced chips below 5 nanometers. Meanwhile, China realizes that without mastering semiconductor technology, it cannot compete with the U.S. in high-tech industries. Thus, China has been accelerating the development of its domestic semiconductor industry. But this is a massive challenge, as building a semiconductor industry from scratch requires decades, billions of dollars, and access to cutting-edge technology. Recognizing China's ambitions as a significant threat, Washington has taken aggressive steps to block China's semiconductor advancements. One such move was the 2022 export ban imposed by President Joe Biden's administration, which prohibited U.S. companies like Nvidia and AMD from selling high-end AI chips to China. This measure was designed to slow China's progress in supercomputing and AI development. Additionally, the U.S. pressured its allies, particularly the Netherlands and Japan, to halt sales of chip-making equipment to China. In the Netherlands, one key player in the global semiconductor supply chain is ASML, the world's sole producer of extreme ultraviolet (EUV) lithography machines, essential for manufacturing the most advanced chips. Without ASML's machines, China cannot produce chips at the same level as TSMC or Samsung. Understanding this, the U.S. forced the Dutch government to ban ASML from selling these machines to China. Similarly, Japan plays a crucial role in the global semiconductor industry, particularly in supplying raw materials and manufacturing equipment. The U.S. has pressured Japan to limit its exports of semiconductor-related technologies to China, further tightening Beijing's constraints. Despite the immense pressure from the U.S. and its allies, China has not remained passive. Beijing has been heavily investing in domestic semiconductor firms like Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, SMIC, and Yangtze Memory Technologies, injecting billions of dollars to accelerate their technological advancements. In 2023, SMIC shocked the world by producing 7nm chips without American or ASML technology, demonstrating China's determination to overcome U.S.-imposed barriers. At the center of this conflict lies Taiwan, not just as a contested territory between China and the U.S., but also as the epicenter of the global semiconductor industry. If China were to gain control over Taiwan, it would gain direct access to the most advanced chip technology, potentially shifting the global balance of power. The U.S. understands that if TSMC falls into China's hands, Washington would lose its grip on the global technology supply chain. As a result, the U.S. continues to strengthen ties with Taiwan, even providing military support to prevent China from taking control of the island. The technological war between China and the United States is far from over. The world is on the brink of an AI revolution that will transform almost every aspect of human life, from the economy and military to communication and governance. The battle for dominance in artificial intelligence is intensifying, with China aggressively challenging the U.S. in this sector. As these two economic giants compete for control over future technologies, the outcome will not only determine the winner of this technological rivalry, but will also reshape the global economic order in the 21st century.